Hey, welcome to Go News. I'm sure Michael from Guns Out TV. Before we get started, I want you to like this video, drop those comments below, and share it with as many people as possible so that we can, one, defeat YouTube's algorithm, but two, to continue to grow our channel and share this news with as many people as possible. And trust me, guys, when I get into this one, you're absolutely going to want to spread this news. So recently, Visa, Mastercard, and American Express have all decided that they're going to start categorizing gun shop sales. Now, you're probably wondering, well, Michael, what exactly does that mean? Why is this important to me? Well, let's break this down because it's important to you. And I also think it's even more important to gun owners of color, who, by the way, happen to be the fastest growing group of new gun owners in this country right now. Many African Americans, many Black Americans have a very tumultuous past with the banking institutions in this country for a whole plethora of reasons. And I got a feeling that relationship may become even more complicated with this news here. So Visa, which happens to be the world's largest payment processor, Saturday stated that they plan to start categorizing sales at gun shops. This is a major win for gun control advocates who say that this will better help track suspicious surges in gun sales, which they believe will help prevent mass shootings. Now, look, I'll be the first to say that as a law-abiding citizen, as a law-abiding gun owner, we all believe in the importance in trying to lessen crime and also lessen mass shootings. But I do not believe that this will have that effect. And I believe that actually this is going to have an effect of targeting law-abiding citizens who, by the way, aren't the ones who are participating in mass shootings or crimes. It's criminals and people with mental issues who are committing these types of acts against those of us who are innocent people. The right to keep and bear arms is a way for us to defend ourselves, our communities, and our families, which is why you're seeing so many people of color say, you know what, I want to maintain that right as well. And I don't blame them for doing so, particularly when you consider our history in this country. So categorizing gun sales, according to some gun rights advocates, is unfair because it's going to put a target on the backs of law-abiding citizens, which I, for the most part, typically agree with. Imagine what's going on with the ATF right now, who are already using information from credit card companies to target individuals. Now, look, the ATF has a job to do, and we want the ATF to do their job legally. Go after the criminals, go after individuals who are breaking the law, not people who are not breaking the law, not individuals who are saying, I want to maintain a firearm to protect myself, or I want to get into the shooting sports, or I want to get into the hobby. What does that mean for a lot of African Americans who are already distrustful of law enforcement for a lot of good reasons? When the ATF shows up to their door saying, well, hey, I'm looking at this credit card statement from American Express, or I'm looking at your bank or debit statement, you've been flagged because you have too many line items that says gun sales. We need to talk to you. That could turn into a potentially deadly situation that I don't think these quote unquote gun control advocates are really thinking about. So you're probably wondering, well, Michael, what do you mean banks? I heard you say the word bank. Get into that. So let me get into this with you guys. So Visa, which happens to be the largest processing company in the country and also in the world, will likely put pressure on banks as a card issuer to adopt the standards as well. So what I'm essentially saying is, now that Visa has said that they're going to start categorizing these things, banks will probably look at this and say, well, wait a minute, let's assess this. Why? Because Visa acts as a middleman between the merchant and the bank. Well, we all know that the banks issue the cards. You have a debit card, where does it come from? The bank. It just happens to be stamped by Visa or MasterCard because they help process the payment. Again, they're acting as that middleman. Follow me here. So banks may essentially at some point say, you know what? We don't really want people making purchases at gun stores anymore, so we're going to prohibit it. So essentially, banks could decide that they're going to stop your ability to use your hard-earned money to go to a gun store, to purchase a firearm, or to purchase ammo or targets if you're going for training. Let's say you happen to go weekly. Imagine what your statement's going to look like once a week, once a month. You may have several statements that say gun purchasing or gun sales. that could be flagged by some law enforcement agency who at some point could show up at your door and say, hey, Mr. So-and-so or Mrs. So-and-so, we need to have a conversation with you, which in many ways could be a potential violation of your constitutional rights to keep and bear arms. So I would reach out to my member of Congress and my senator and say, wait a minute here, I don't like this. This is unfair. This is concerning. We need to look deeply into this because the repercussions of this could be long-standing and could have an adverse effect on law-abiding citizens, especially those of us of color. And I think that's something we need to think about. So gun rights advocates have continued to try to fight against this, but they've lost the fight, guys. The fight is over. Gun control advocates have won. Visa, Mastercard, American Express have already stated that they're going to do this. The next question becomes, what will banks do? Banks are going to look at Visa. They're going to look at Mastercard. If you don't believe me, pull out your wallet right now. Pull out your wallet and see what it's stamped with. Is it stamped with a Visa logo or a Mastercard logo? Either or, banks may say, you know what, if they're doing this, then maybe we need to reconsider where people utilize their cards, specifically as it pertains to purchasing firearms or firearms related material. Now, I'm arguing against this because tracking sales at gun stores would unfairly target legal gun purchases, since merchant sales just simply track the type of merchant where the credit or debit card is used and not the actual item purchased. So if someone's buying a safe that costs thousands of dollars, for an example, which we all would consider to be a part of responsible gun ownership, that could be seen as a large purchase at a gun shop. Or if you're going to a gun shop frequently for training, that could be perceived as a frequent purchase at a gun shop, which of course adds up over time, which could be perceived by a federal agency such as the ATF as a reason to visit you or look into you. Now, we know that gun control advocates have advocated for quite a few things, such as banning AR-15s, limiting the type of magazines that people can have, and they haven't been successful. They have not been successful at all. With the exception of President Biden in June signing the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act gun safety bill, which did receive some Republican support. And it did because Republicans are looking at winning back the midterms in November. They're looking at trying to regain their ground and footing with suburbanites. That wasn't good enough for most gun control advocates. Many of them felt that it was too watered down, it was too Republican light, and did not go far enough. So instead, they've transitioned their focus to payment processing companies such as Visa and Mastercard. And in turn, that focus, I guarantee you guys, will turn to banks. And it is absolutely outrageous if at some point banks say, you know what, we don't want our cards as the card issuer being used at gun shops. Therefore, anytime you try to make a purchase, we're going to block it. We're going to ban it. That's insane. People work hard for their money. People have a right to protect themselves, a right to protect their families, a right to protect their communities. This could indeed make that process a lot more difficult and tougher for many of us. So I want you to like this video. I want you to share this video. Drop those comments and let me know what you think. Like it to defeat the algorithm, and share it, because this is critical and important news that's going to have serious repercussions on all of us, specifically, again, gun owners of color. We want people to be aware of what's going on by gun control advocates who have said, you know what, we can't win this legislatively, but we can put our focus on credit card companies, banking processing companies such as Visa, Mastercard, and we can put focus on banks to say, hey, you need to do something about this. But what about those of us who are not breaking the law, who are doing the legal, responsible thing? We shouldn't be unfairly targeted. We shouldn't have our rights potentially diminished and limited because some individuals don't like our right to bear arms. Let me know what you think. Like it, share it, comment. I'm Michael with Guns Out TV, and this is another episode of Go News. We'll see you next time.